Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you're here. I've got a really good story today, okay? But it is very graphic. So if you can't stand this skirmish stuff, then you might want to pass over this video. And that's okay because you can join us next time. But this one's gonna be a little bit hard. We're gonna talk about werewolves today. Yes, we are. If you're new here, what I do is I talk about dark history and I do my makeup at the same time. I do list what I use down below. I don't tell you what I'm doing. I just do it just because it's fun. So if that interests you, please hit that subscribe button. And let's go ahead and get into today's story about werewolves and get this party started. So if you guys have been watching me for a minute, then you know that we did the trial, the Valerius trial, where they did where they killed all those people at one time. Yeah. Well, in that trial, we talked about some shape shifting, okay? And what it ended up leading to, and later on, and we're only going to go over one person today on this one because this one's kind of long, but there's quite a few werewolf trials that we're going to talk about, but this one kind of jumped out at me. Like I say, it's very harsh, I guess you could say, but it's something that we need to learn from. So anyways, let's go ahead and do this. So the werewolf trials, yeah, like I say, they started in Valerius because of the shape shifting, right? Now it's a little different. We have a man named Peter Stumpp, okay? Oh my gosh, the loud trucks, they're killing me. They're killing me. So we are in Germany and we are talking about werewolves today. We have one in particular and his name is Peter Stumpp, okay? He goes by a lot of different names, but they call him Stumpp for a reason, and don't worry, we'll get there. He's a German farmer and he was also an alleged serial killer, werewolf, did witchcraft, and was a cannibal, allegedly, okay? He was also named the Werewolf of Bedburg, okay? So this is a pretty big case. The confession is very hard to listen to, but you know, here we are. This is what I do, and this one really got me good. So what is a werewolf? What is lycanthropy? Is basically the changing into a werewolf, transforming into a wolf. There was mixed accusations on what lycanthropy could be. You could be riding a werewolf, you know, like some Twilight stuff, or you can be, or you could transform into a werewolf, or have a werewolf as a familiar, you know. And these are all really bad things. So, of course, there's always people out there that's going to do something to kind of make money off this. And there were these wolf charmers who would make these supposed charms that would help ward away werewolves away from you so that you wouldn't get in any trouble or anything like that. Which is kind of stupid in my opinion, but you know, here we are. Now, also when it came to werewolves and stuff, a wolfbane, if you ever heard the term wolfbane, there's the ADD dog. Yep. Yeah, go ahead and be ADD over there in the kitchen. Anyway, there were wolf charmers. Like I said, they made little charms for wolves, you know, to protect you against the werewolves and stuff. I mean, it's got to be a big deal, right? So back to our guy, Peter. He was from Germany, lived in Germany, was a German farmer, and he was not poor. No. He was not poor or anything. He was actually quite successful farmer, very successful, okay? And I think that people saw this because it doesn't really say why he got tortured to begin with. Because, yeah, he does go on to get tortured, unfortunately. This man, Peter, went by many names, like I say, but they called him Peter Stumpp because he did not have a hand. He lost his hand, yes. And as we've seen in previous witch trials, if you are disabled in any way, shape, or form, you were a target, point blank period, unfortunately. That's just how it was back then. And so he gets called in, and the torture begins, okay? And they don't start off small with this man. Not even a little bit. The man also had a family. He was a widower at this point, but he had two daughters, or had two kids, excuse me. One daughter and one son. Now, the son was of unknown age. The daughter's name was Sybil. And we can say that he was probably targeted. This is what I'm gathering. This is not where I read, but this is just what I'm gathering from doing this for for whatever. I feel like because he was rich and because of his supposed status of being disabled and not having a hand, I think it was his left hand, which if he was a farmer, he probably lost his hand, on the farm, which is a thing that could have happened back then, obviously, easily. But anyway, so this poor dude, they decide that because he is wealthy, a wealthy farmer, okay, and he is very, has no hand, he's disabled, they go on ahead and pick on this man. Yeah, they do. They're like, yeah, let's pick on old dude. And so what they do is they start the torture. It's not too long for the confessions start rolling out, okay? So when he was captured, the first thing they did was they stretched him on the rack. And if you guys don't remember what the rack is, I'll tell you. It's actually from my torture video if you guys haven't watched that. But the rack is when they put you on this thing. They tie your arms, they tie your legs down, and they make it so that you can't move. Like basically you cannot go anywhere, can't do nothing. And they pull and they stretch your body, and it like dislocates your joints and all this other kind of crazy stuff. Yeah, like it's bonkers. Ah, there it is. I don't know why I keep saying that word. They capture Peter, okay, and they put him on the wheel, and they start doing on the rack, excuse me, and the wheel comes last. Sorry, I didn't mean to give that away, but there we go. The wheel comes up last. We're going to talk about it. So they put him on the rack, they're stretching him, and he starts just spouting off the mouth about all kinds of stuff, okay? So I'm going to have to read it because it's kind of a lot, actually, that he says. So they stretch him on the rack, and they're gonna do more torture. And so he decides, okay, I'm not doing this. I'm gonna tell you guys what you want to know, and here it is. He starts telling them that he has been doing black magic. I don't like saying that, but he said that he's been doing black magic since he was 12 years old. Yeah, okay, we have a very experienced witch here, supposedly. The devil, always got to have the devil in there, right? Gave him a magic belt. Oh yes, gave him a nice magic belt. And what did this belt do? This belt turned him into a werewolf, okay? And it was given to him, special by the devil. When he wore this belt, he turned into a werewolf, right? Well, and when he took it off, he was human again, okay? And so he told them that he actually got rid of the belt and put it in like a little cavern somewhere and told them exactly where it was. So they went to go look for it. And guess what they found? Nothing. Because it wasn't real. It wasn't a freaking belt. You feel me? So anyway, these men are doing this stuff to this guy because they think that he can turn into a werewolf because of this belt. And they couldn't even find the belt. Okay? So, yeah. It's a little bit crazy. So also, for 25 years, he says he was a bloodsucker. Okay? He says a bloodsucker who ate goats, lambs, sheep, women, and children. Yeah. He says all that, okay, while he's being stretched on the rack. So, like I say, old Peter Stump starts confessing to a bunch of madness. Oh yes, bunch. And it doesn't stop because they evidently were not satisfied with his answer. And so they were like, no, we need to know more, and we're going to torture you some more. So our guy Peter has to go and start saying more stuff, you know, because he says these things because he's being tortured and he wants it to stop, you know. And so he'll say anything and everything that he can to get out of this because the torture is so painful. And then when you're threatened with more, like, that's just insanity to me. So when they threatened him with more, he started confessing to more. That's why I don't understand people in this. He started confessing to more stuff. Okay, it's unfortunate, but he does, and it gets worse. So I'm just gonna give you guys a heads up. Here's where it's fixing to get bad, like what he says that he does. Yeah, because remember in the beginning I told you he was a serial killer slash what do you call it? Oh my God, not the werewolf part, but they say he was a serial killer and a cannibal. Okay. And so not only does he tell stories about other people of things that he's done to them, he also says things that he's done to his own children as well in this confession. So that's why I'm saying, just give you a heads up. So under the threat of more torture, we get more of a confession out of Peter. And he goes on to say he confessed to killing and eating 14 children and 2 pregnant women. Okay. This is hard. He ripped the fetuses from them and ate their hearts, panting, hot and raw. This is what this man confessed to, okay? He confessed that he ate his son's brain, okay? And how he did this was he took his son out into the woods and supposedly turned into a werewolf and then ate his son. And he said that he couldn't resist it, even though it was his own kid, because of the bloodlust that he was feeling or whatnot. So not only did he supposedly, allegedly, kill all these people and suck their blood, he was a werewolf with a magical belt. All right. Now, he also supposedly, we don't know if this is true, had a relationship with his own daughter. Yes, there's where the incest comes in. Supposedly he has a relationship with his own daughter. She actually ends up getting arrested, like right along with him, because supposedly if she was sleeping with her dad, that was not the only family member that she was sleeping with. Okay, no, it was not what they came to find out, and that back then, of course, was against the law, like hardcore, you know, just like it is now. Oh, thank God. And so yeah, she got in trouble for that. She ends up going to jail right along with her dad because of this rumor that you know, she has relations with her dad or whatnot. Supposedly, we don't know if that's true. Another thing that Peter says that happened to him with the devil is he also said he had relations with a succubus that was sent to him by the devil. So he didn't do anything with the devil. He had some fun with the succubus. Yeah. So, and let me tell y'all, before I get to this man's execution, I feel so bad for this guy because he's a wealthy farmer and he doesn't have a hand. And his wife, he's a widower. He doesn't have a wife anymore, even though he has kids. He's actually doing well for himself, but he's also, he has a disability. I feel like this is why this guy got picked on. And of course he says all these things. But the execution is even harder to listen to. I'm just giving you a heads up, guys. I'm just trying to be cool and give you guys a heads up on this, because it's not the best thing in the world. It's probably one of the worst ways I've described on here of a person on how they pass, for real. It's actually one of the most brutal killings ever recorded, okay? So what did they do to Peter Stumpp? Well, they put him on the wheel, like I was telling you guys earlier, which is a device that was used back in the day to torture people. It was also used to kill them as well. You could put them in the wheel, break their limbs, put them inside the wheel, roll them down a hill, which would probably pretty much complete the job. But they would wrap them up in this, or they would tie them to the wheel and, you know, throw stuff at them or whatnot. But it was definitely, again, it's a horrible, horrible way to go. And so they put him on the wheel, where they tore the flesh from his body with red hot pincers. Okay, like his body, his chest, his stomach, his back, all this stuff. And then after that, they took the skin off his arms and his legs while he's in this wheel. He cannot move, right? And then they broke his limbs with the blunt side of an axe and threaded them through the spokes of the wheel. And then they beheaded him right there and then burned his body on a pyre. And like I say, his daughter, and I don't think I said, but his mistress also were executed with him. Okay, they were executed in a little bit of a different way than he was. His daughter and his mistress had been flayed. I'm pretty sure we know what flayed is, but if you don't, I'll tell you, because I went over that in torture as well. Flayed is when they basically just like strip the skin off of you. I mean, it's just incredibly painful and very unnecessary. You know, some of these people are just pretty sick and twisted to come up with this kind of stuff, but we went over this and all the fun torture devices they had back in the day. We went over all that, don't worry. Anyway, so they were flayed and strangled, and their body was bound along with Stump's body as a warning. Okay, this is a little rough to hear, but I'm going to tell you because it's all part of the story. As a warning, they put the torture wheel on a pole. And then on that pole, they also put like a carving of a wolf, okay, to represent. This is going to tell everybody in the entire town, you should never ever mess with try to be a werewolf, okay? Because after they put it up, and right on top of the pike or the spike was Peter Stump's head, and they left it there for I don't know how long, but long enough to warn everybody in that place, don't be changing into a werewolf and eating babies, like straight up. So that is the story of Peter Stump. Yes, it is. And I feel so bad for this guy, because obviously you can't transform into a werewolf. You can't ride a werewolf because there's, you know, I mean, there's big wolves, but there's no werewolf, you know, the way they're saying. A werewolf is transforming from a man into, you know what I mean. Anyway, it's just a really, really bonkers story. The fact that he was a successful farmer and the fact that he had a disability probably did put an arrow on his back, unfortunately. But I don't, you know, this whole thing with people with disabilities and things like that, and just because they're actually doing good for themselves, this is when you see people try to bring those people down. And this still happens today. You could be in the happiest mood ever and go to work, and one of your coworkers will see that you're in a good mood, and they will definitely do something to try to screw that up. And that's just because they feel bad about their own life. And that's what I feel like what happened with Peter. This man was not a cannibal. He was not a werewolf. He was not a serial killer. That's what it's all alleged. The way they killed him is so graphic and so insane. I don't know how anybody back then could have been okay with that, especially if nobody saw it with their own eyes. They didn't see this man. They never found a belt supposedly made by the devil, because there was no belt. There was no transforming. This poor guy ends up getting killed in the worst possible way, right? And it's all because of the Valerius witch trials with people transforming into animals, and somebody took it a step further, said that it was werewolf, and then a man with no hand that was this successful farmer got the gut because he was a success and because he was disabled. It's almost like they were probably thinking, how can a disabled man be so successful? You feel me? I think that's why, because there really wasn't a solid reason anywhere that I could find as to why they thought he was a werewolf or whatnot. I couldn't find anything that said anything about it. So I think it's because that he was disabled, and everybody's like, okay, if this man's so disabled, how is he doing so well on this farm? You know? Which I can feel that. But don't be jealous of what other people have. And just because you're disabled doesn't mean that you can't do anything. That doesn't mean you can just sit around for the rest of your life and not do anything. My husband is disabled, came out of the military disabled. And he goes to work every single day for 12 hours. So what I'm saying is this story is sad because of the way they died. And for the sole fact of why? Why do they do this to this poor man? I don't know. But that is the start of our werewolf. We're going to be talking about werewolves. Yes, supposedly Peter Stumpp was a werewolf. We all know that he was not a werewolf, okay? He just got a really, really raw deal. I'm sorry this one was so rough. But anyways, that's the story of Peter Stumpp, the werewolf, basically. There's more werewolves we're going to go over. And I also just got a new book the other day on poisoners. Yes, I did. So y'all, this channel's fixing to get really, really good. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. I really appreciate it so very much. And I appreciate you watching today. So, and if nobody's told you lately, I love you. And I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. All right.